The alien hunter stalked the arena, only to retreat the moment its eyes met the humans. Beginning. The galaxy loved its spectacles. From the blood-soaked pits of the Kraln Horde to the elegant dueling rings of the Vaith Dominion, there was no shortage of places where empires paraded their strength. But none were as infamous as the Grand Arena of Vorin, a coliseum so vast it could hold entire cities within its walls. Every cycle, the arena hosted the trials of predators, a brutal display where apex hunters from dozens of worlds were unleashed before a roaring crowd. These predators were engineered, bred, or captured for one purpose alone: to kill. And into that storm of teeth and claws, the empires sometimes threw slaves, criminals, or, on rare occasions, foreigners who needed to be humiliated before the galaxy's eyes. This time, the chosen outsider was a human. Marcus Hale, 28 years old, born on the colony world of Delara. To the audience, he was nothing more than prey, a curiosity to be devoured. Humanity was still considered a young, fragile race, unworthy of respect among the great civilizations. But Marcus had not come willingly. He had been captured during a border skirmish, dragged across the stars, and sold to the arena masters. Now, as he stood in the dust of the Colosseum floor, he squinted against the glare of alien suns and listened to the deafening roar of thousands. Middle. The release. Across from Marcus, heavy gates shuddered open. The ground trembled as something massive approached. Out of the shadows emerged a Threxian hunter beast, 8 feet tall, armored in jagged black plates, eyes burning amber like molten metal. Its body rippled with muscle, every step shaking the sand. The crowd roared with anticipation. "Feed him to it," they cried in a dozen alien tongues. The beast raised its head, scanning the arena. Its nostrils flared, tasting the air. Rows of serrated fangs glistened as it opened its maw, loosing a roar that rattled Marcus's bones. It began to stalk forward. Prey or something else. Marcus's instincts screamed at him to run. He had no weapon, no armor, no chance of victory. But something deep within told him that fleeing would only trigger the predator's chase. So he stood his ground. The Threxian circled, its gaze flicking from one trembling slave at the far end of the arena to Marcus himself. The crowd leaned forward, expecting the beast to strike at once. But then it paused. Its gaze locked with Marcus's eyes. For a long, breathless moment, predator and human stared at one another. The air seemed to thicken. The beast's growl softened to a rumble. It tilted its massive head, as though confused. And then, unthinkably, it took a step back. The audience gasped. Another step, then another. The monster lowered its head, ears flattening. With a final guttural sound, it backed away entirely, retreating to the far corner of the arena. The crowd erupted in chaos. Shockwaves. The arena masters shouted into comms, demanding to know why the beast hadn't killed. The handlers activated shock prods built into the beast's collar. Electricity arced across its body, forcing a howl of pain. But instead of leaping at Marcus, the predator crouched lower, eyes never leaving his. The alien commentators tried to explain it away: malfunction, fear, instinctual confusion. But every witness knew the truth. The most fearsome hunter in the galaxy had refused to attack a human. Marcus himself was stunned. He hadn't moved. He hadn't spoken. All he had done was meet the creature's eyes. Yet somehow, that had been enough. Behind the scenes. Later, in the holding cells beneath the arena, Marcus was confronted by the arena master, a serpentine alien with jeweled scales. "What did you do?" it hissed, voice dripping with suspicion. No being looks a Threxian in the eye and leaves. Marcus shook his head. "I didn't do anything. It just saw me," The alien's slitted pupils narrowed. Perhaps your kind has secrets. Perhaps your blood carries something ancient. We will test this. Marcus was thrown into isolation, but he couldn't sleep. He kept seeing those amber eyes, the way the predator had hesitated, as if recognizing something it wasn't supposed to. The second trial. The masters weren't finished. Days later, Marcus was dragged back into the arena. This time, 3 predators were released: a Threxian, a 6-legged Ralvec panther, and a winged XYR beast. The crowd howled with excitement, certain the human couldn't survive. The panther struck first, sprinting across the sand. Marcus braced for death, but the panther stopped short. It sniffed him once, growled low, and then slinked away. The winged beast circled above, screeching, talons ready. Yet when it dove and locked eyes with Marcus, it faltered mid-flight, wings snapping open to slow itself. It landed yards away, pacing, restless, but unwilling to close the gap. And once again, the Threxian bowed its head. The crowd went silent. What had begun as entertainment was turning into something else, a revelation. Ending. The revelation. In the weeks that followed, Marcus was no longer treated as prey. Scientists dissected every recording, trying to uncover the secret. Some argued it was pheromones. Others whispered of an ancient resonance between predator and human, something written into the deep code of evolution itself. But among the masses, a different belief began to spread. They whispered that humanity possessed a hidden power, something primal, something even apex predators instinctively respected. The arena masters grew nervous. What was meant to humiliate a human had instead elevated him. Spectators now looked at Marcus not as prey, but as something far more dangerous, a potential rival. Marcus himself cared little for the politics. All he knew was that, for the first time in his life, he felt no shame in being human. When the next trial came, and yet another predator refused to strike him, he raised his head high. And, across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. If the fiercest beasts bow to humans, what will the empires do when humanity rises?